Hello and welcome to another edition of Ambient Talkie, a show where we dive into some weird and wacky equipment and wonderful, call it whatever you want music. I'm Andy from Two Round Robins, and I hope you're ready for some words of comparison between these two portable yet powerful music computers. Before I decided to check out Organelle, I really wanted to know how its ecosystem compares that to monome norns. I snooped around some threads on Line's forum and asked a few people off of Instagram how they would compare it to norns. But since every way of using your instrument, or a fact track for that matter, is based on personal choice and, dare I say it, how you vibe with it, I wasn't really sure how I'd like the critter&guitari organelle. But one thing's for certain though, they work really well together. However, if you're just entering the wonderful world of customizable music computers and don't know which one would be more suited for you, I do hope that I'll present some more obvious differences that might help you decide which one would fit your creative style best. So let's get straight into that. Okay, a quick disclaimer here. Although organelle and norns both appear to be similar in their it's whatever you want them to be approach, they're different in a variety of ways. Some feature may seem better, some may be lacking. However, these are strictly my own personal opinions based on my own taste, style, and how I create music. However, through this, I will try my best to give a somewhat objective yet honest outlook regarding which one may be more suited for you. I would also like to mention that I'll be showcasing Norns Shield, a less powerful version than that of a standard Norns, and an Organelle M, which is an updated version from critter&guitari's original Organelle that was originally launched in the beginning. With that out of the way, let's dive in. I touched upon the connectivity side on the main videos for norns and organelle, but I think we can briefly reprise here. Both of these devices do have your necessary audio connections, however the main difference is that organelle has also MIDI connections that are not only based on USB connectivity, it also has a dedicated foot switch, which we will touch upon a bit more later in the video. So what initially draws me to these instruments is in a large part their own portability, as I often find myself enjoying making music while on the go. So if we take a look just in terms of portability, we can see that both devices work well as a portable instruments. They're somewhat small, they're somewhat low weight, and can easily be carried around in your backpack. However, as you might notice, the main difference shows its way in the integrating of the external controls. So if we take a look at Norns Shield, it's very tiny, it's cute, yet it needs battery power. But based on the script that you choose, you can easily use it as is. So for example, if we go to the script 000 or 000, we can easily create some random paths, and we can just use this as is, meaning we hook up our headphones and our battery source or power source and just play with it. So a lot of scripts are quite similar in this way. They don't need any external control. However, your Norns experience greatly improves once you connect a grid-based device, a MIDI controller here, and an audio source. This then greatly expands your backpack and puts a bit of weight on your wallet. You can of course kind of trick the system by using mods such as grid keys and Emplatress, for which you'll need just a grid or touchOSC to throw in some stuff and sounds into more audio mangling scripts. You can check the video above for more on that. Now, keeping that in mind, we can say Organelle gets around this by providing additional features on its own enclosure. It has this little cute keyboard here, an integrated microphone, and if you fork though for an Organelle M, you also get the speaker and an option to have this thing run on battery power. And this basically just begs for it to be used as a portable environment. You can of course hook it up to any other controls that Organelle supports, and with that expand the system at your own will. Apart from how they look and feel though, the main difference between these two is their own ecosystems. What do they offer in terms of music creation, and what music style tends to fit each ecosystem a bit better? Organelle and norns are customizable in their way of patching, scripting to your own personal use and desire, hence why a lot of people just call them little musical computers. Organelle uses visual programming language called Pure Data, which, while norns offers scripting in Lua. Both are open sourced and have a community which adds to the ever-growing library. And you do not need to script or program if you only wish to use them as pure instrument sequencers, effects racks, and so on. So meaning you just use or choose a script or patch that you want, and you can just play it and use it normally like that. However, with that said, there seems to be a difference in how things are run on each of them. So much so that it might push you in preferring one over the other, just by how their way of working is and how their way of manipulating sound adds to their own characteristics. So let's take a look at Organelle, for example. Organelle, with its rather small screen, offers some system menus which you can use and you can customize. So by easily connecting to Wi-Fi in a computer, it offers full categorization and optimizing your way of working within it, meaning you can create folders, subfolders, and in this way easily find what you're looking for. But if we take a look on the north side, it does have a larger screen. However, going to our script page here, you can see that it doesn't really have a lot to do with categorization. The only way that you can semi-categorize is by favoring it, meaning that the one scripts that you favorite will kind of show here, and then with this you can maybe quickly use those that you like. And that's more about it when it comes to categorizing your scripts or the scripts that you like to use. Otherwise, you'll have to basically rely on checking the web or your notes when choosing a script that you're not really familiar with. However, where norns excels for me is in its use of the global parameters. So let me kind of demonstrate that by moving back to Organelle. Firstly, let's take our OP1 and hook it to Organelle. And if I play something from the OP1, you'll notice that you won't be able to hear anything. This is because we must firstly either choose a patch which offers input monitoring, or like I'll do here, just use an oscilloscope to quickly route some audio into Organelle. This in practice means that if you choose a synth or voice and want both of these instruments to be audible within a serial connection, you'll have to choose either a patch that offers monitoring or modify the patch that you want to use in pure data in order for it to take audio in. So it routes the signal into an audio existence of sort. So your main workflow, or your workflow that you use, is then really dependent on which, if you're using serial connection, on which pure data patch are you going to use on organelle in order to route the signal through. Now, if we move to norns and simply plug in our OP1, we are getting the signal immediately in, even though we don't have a single script selected. Now, this is because we have our levels globally set here. These are independent from the scripts that we are using. You can also see that we do have an option to record in whatever we choose and to play whatever we choose in organelle global, something that sadly organelle lacks and is really dependent on the chosen patch if it provides any record possibilities. Another thing that is global to norns and is, in my personal opinion, is otherwise lacking is that we can basically choose BPM at a global level, and we can easily clock signals. So with this we get syncing options quite easily. Plus it is important to note that norns also offers global reverb and global compressor based, well, not really based on whatever script you choose. So in this way you get a bit more just by the global side of norns, and this is something that again organelle lacks in its defined way of design. And did this become a very important distinction for me, at least, as I find myself being creative in quite a different manner while using organelle as opposed to how I use norns. Taking global stuff aside, where I find the biggest difference is in its core. You know, in patches versus the scripts. I assume they differ a lot also in the engine in which they are running in. So for example, organelle uses pure data, while norns uses a mixture of supercollider, which is an environment for making synth engines, and softcut, which is an environment based on 6 buffers, perfect for coding in audio manipulation. Both have their fair share of shallow and deep applications. So for example, if we take a look into ORAC or ORHAC in that way, we can basically see it has a lot of these submenus and ways of control and manipulation. So this is one of the deepest organelle patches there is, and we can see that it extends quite beyond your typical organelle patch, which is at times mostly just dedicated to one particular thing. With that in mind, I find that norns scripts tend to be a bit deeper, at least a lot of them are. So for example, if we take a look into, let's say, for example, a lot of these OOOOOs. So this is again not only do we have controls that are on the main page here, and we can basically control whatever we do with a combination of keys, much like we do on organelle, of course. In norns, a lot of scripts also have their submenus here, basically in the parameters menus, where you can basically set different controls here quite easily, and you do get a lot of stuff just by the deepness of certain norns scripts. Another thing that you might consider when choosing either norns and organelle is their way in how they process audio. For example, if I take a look into distributor, so here I have it here in the sample subfolder, So let's say, for example, this, and let's just latch it. We quickly get something that's quite nice. So yeah, this is one of my favorite patches, and you can load or record samples and it will distribute it through the keys, and you can get fairly quickly nice bendy noodles out of this, and I absolutely adore those. Now let's try to do something that's in a similar vein on norns. So let's say, for example, I'm gonna choose noodles here, and I'm gonna go choose, let's say, a preset where I basically recorded something, doesn't really matter. But let's say, for example, this is again something that's quite bendy, that's quite good. You can see that we can quickly get something similar, but at least for me, there seems to be a big difference in how organelle processes audio manipulation when it comes to running stuff, and how norns processes this same audio information. In this way, I kind of much prefer norns. It sounds somewhat wider. It crossfades between one sample and the other, so in a very smooth fashion, and it just sounds, at least in my opinions, way better, more impressive, and it kind of excites me more. It's probably something to do with how softcut is running it and how it plays out off of audio that you feed it. And here we can talk a bit about how your preferred style might tell you how one could be more suited for you than the other. So let's talk a bit about that. At the end of the day, organelle and norns are just two different beasts. While they might be the same in their short descriptions of what they do, the way how they process and integrate with you is fairly different. I have mentioned how I prefer the sound and workflow of norns. I personally just find it more powerful, capable, and more in line with my own style of creating, processing audio in an asynchronous manner with a knack for noodling around and just having fun listening to what softcut does to my audio signal. I love the bigger screen and how far more visual it is, and saying it very pretentiously, I find it a tad more in line with making some of that sonic art type music than, as opposed to casual electronic jams. So if you like to make something in a similar vein, then it's almost a no-brainer. I'd choose norns. However, I found that the immediacy of organelle is extra fun. And I think this is where the main stamp lies within organelle, at least in my own opinion. It's extra fun. The patch's immediacy of playing can be described as quirky, they are fun, and it's, quickly you can get something new and exciting to your ears. I tend to use this quite a lot as a guitar processor, just because it's very easy just to plug in your guitar in. You do have a foot switch, and the effects and the way how it processes it can be very immediate, very quick to get some fun and interesting results. So if you want something that's a bit more casual, but nonetheless powerful and great for any style, then organelle seems like the right choice. So there you go, a very brief comparison on these two wonderful machines. Of course, we could have gone much deeper, but these are just some of my personal thoughts in what way these instruments are special, in what way they differ, and how I use them in my own workflow. You might have noticed I haven't really touched upon scripting and programming. I am currently making my way through norn studies, and hopefully we'll be able to do some PD patching in the future as well. And I'll definitely make a video describing my experience if you guys would find that interesting. If some of you are still undecided which one is right for you and would like to learn a bit more, I'll link you to the main norns and main organelle videos down in the description, or I'll just paste them somewhere on the screen here so you can do a bit more research. If you have any questions, don't forget to comment them down below and subscribe if you haven't done so already, as it really helps the channel out. With that being said, I would just like to say, have a lovely rest of the evening, morning, afternoon, whenever you might be watching, and I'll see you next time. Take care.